Would you interfere? Putting the fate of artificially intelligent creatures in your hands. I'm Tonya Hall, and joining me is Pietro Gagliano, creative artificial intelligence innovator and founder and filmmaker at Transforms.ai. Welcome, Pietro.
Hi, thanks for having me.
What's the mission of Transforms.ai and why did you start the company?
Yeah, our mission is rooted in two ideas. One is that storytelling is one of humanity's most powerful tools, and it has been ever since we became human. And the other idea is that artificial intelligence is becoming humanity's most powerful tool. And our idea is that combining these two things could be what helps us to evolve through the technological singularity. And so we think that storytelling and AI belong together, and our mission is to combine those two tools and make creative people more creative and machines more human.
Not quite a game and not quite a movie. What is Agents and what's the story behind its development?
That's right. Yeah, Agents isn't quite a game and isn't quite a film. So it's somewhere between. We've been calling it a dynamic film because it's a series on a technical side. It's a series of dynamic systems, including artificial intelligence, that allow for the experience to be a little bit different every time you experience it. But from a storytelling standpoint, it follows the narrative of five little intelligent creatures that live on a floating planet, and you show up as the user or observer, viewer, audience, and you interfere with their world. You interrupt it in a particular way, and the story unfolds from your interference with these creatures.
You say the story is never the same twice. Is that because your agents retain the knowledge they gained from previous iterations?
They don't actually retain the knowledge from people playing it. They're pre-trained using. There's two types of artificial intelligence, just to be clear. There's heuristic functions like game AI that control the behavior of programmed characters, and ultimately, right now, those ones carry the story. But in the menu of the experience, you can turn on and off brains for reinforcement learning, and those creatures are pre-trained, but they learn over millions of iterations of the film environment, and we train them as you know, in our studio, and we put these brains in there, and then the cool thing about those agents is that they can think for themselves, so they do whatever their training has taught them.
Tell us about Project Gilgamesh and how the public can access your open source tools.
Yes, so this is it's a work in progress for sure, like any initiative. But one thing that we wanted to do was we see agents as not just a piece of content, but a potential platform to observe artificial life. And so what we wanted to do was try to open source aspects of that project so that other people could train brains for the film. And so we're updating this. We're trying to update this quite a bit in the next coming weeks. But right now on our website, you can access a GitHub and a published training environment for like a Unity environment to train brains for the film. And if somebody wants to try that and comes up with some interesting behavior, then we invite you to send them. Send us the brains, and we'll the ones that we like, we'll put in the film as we update it.
What role do flowers play and why flowers?
Well, I mean, we try to use interesting archetypes to tell the story. So the flower in the film represents this moment of change where the agents live in this barren planet with, their existence is fine. It's not particularly good and not particularly bad. But as the user, you plant these magical flowers on the surface of the planet, and the agents first of all, they're bright and they're beautiful, and they kind of bring them out of darkness. But the agents are attracted to them. Interact with the flowers. They fall in love with them. But then there's kind of this, um, you know, underbelly to that as well, where they become obsessed with the flowers and they need them, they want them more. And the dynamic of the film is that the more they consume the flowers, the more the flowers grow into a tree. The tree becomes heavier, harder to control, and it's like a physical and social dilemma at the same time.
How long does this immersive experience generally last?
It depends on your interactions, but usually a playthrough, like the film loops onto itself. So one playthrough would be about 5 to 10 minutes, depending on your interactions. Essentially, as soon as you interfere, uh, a kind of a mini butterfly effect happens on the planet where the agents have to now interact with each other in this flower. And depending on how many flowers, depending on if you're picking up the agents and taking them away or holding them. So I would say 5 to 10 minutes. This is a long answer, sorry. But it's about 5 to 10 minutes per playthrough, but then it loops onto itself infinitely. And the playthroughs get a little bit different each time as well.
What does it mean for humans to create artificially intelligent life? Is this merely a novel form of entertainment, or are we treading on dangerous ground?
You know, that is exactly the question that I'm asking with this project. I certainly don't have the answer, and the reason that I wanted to do a project like this is to ask that question. Not to call it some form of deep art, but the role of art is to hold a mirror up to society, and I would like to ask the question: what does it mean to create artificial life, and what kind of responsibility do we have as humans to create these little minds that never asked to be born in the first place?
Well, I'm certainly fascinated by this crossover between film and gaming. Pietro Gagliano, creative artificial intelligence innovator and founder and filmmaker at Transforms.ai. If somebody wants to connect with you, maybe they want to understand more about the work that you do, how can they do that?
Certainly, you can visit the Transitional Forms website at Transforms.ai. I'm often Pietro Vision across social, although I'm not on all the platforms. But look for Pietro Vision; you'll find me there. And definitely check out my co-production partners at NFB.ca, the National Film Board of Canada, who were incredible partners on this project.
Thanks again for joining,
Great, thank you for having me.
of course. And find more of my interviews right here or at tonyahall.net. Thanks for watching.